Coley, thank you so much for calling in today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you had a question you wanted to ask about.
Yes, on my last call, Father Richard mentioned indulgences, and
Yeah,
I've learned about indulgences here and there in history classes and the such
a bad
um
thing.
as a bad thing that happened in the Crusades in the Middle Ages and
Right.
all that. But I didn't expect them to be brought up in my last topic, so I was wondering sort of what you meant by those indulgences.
Well, Father Richard brought it up, so I think he has more to say. But I'll just as a thought, we tend to think indulgence. We hear the word and we say, "Ooh, ooh, that's something bad that Catholics did in the past." Well, indulgence basically means like forgiveness, if you want. Like imagine equals forgiveness,
Okay.
right? So there's a type of forgiveness that we need in order to get rid of the temporal punishment due to our sins. Whenever we sin, there's a guilt that or responsibility that we get rid of through confession or just asking God's forgiveness and praying an act of contrition. But then there's in proper justice, we owe some reparation for our sins. And that's a temporal punishment. Eternal punishment is heaven. Temporal punishment we take care in purgatory. And that one of the ways of reducing that for ourselves or for those who are deceased, our loved ones, or for others we don't know, is through one of the things, indulgences.
Good. So, um, you know, the we can say that the church has a big treasure. In this treasure are the merits, the prayers, the sacrifices of the saints and of Christ Himself. And then, so the treasure has the authority because of the power of the keys, right? Whatever is bound in heaven will be bound on earth. Whatever is unbound on earth will be bound in heaven. Unbound on earth, unbound in heaven. Um, so the church can apply these merits and give them to a person, deceased or living, to forgive their temporal
If you want,
punishment.
it's like a bank, right? So the bank owner is the church, or God is the owner, the church is administrator, and the church can administer, can lend you something, can give you something, this amount of money. Well, also the same with the merits of the church of the saints.
Okay.
Okay, so the church wants to encourage some good actions, and so that's what happened in the Middle Ages. So the church would say, if you give a donation to build St. Peter's, then you have an indulgence because to donate is a good action. It's a meritorious action, right? Of course, this degenerated a little bit, and it was kind of an abuse at that
Right.
time, and that's what Luther was complaining about, which we agree with that. But that doesn't mean that all indulgences are bad, right? And so then the church, continues doing these indulgences, and so things like praying the rosary in front of the Blessed Sacrament, praying the rosary in family, having a time of prayer in front of the Blessed Sacrament, have what they're called plenary indulgences.
Right.
And so indulgences are divided in plenary and partial. So partial, they take away some part of the punishment, and plenary, they take away the whole thing. And this
And
can be applied to you or to a soul in purgatory. But the idea is then you do a good action that the church encourages you to do, like going on a pilgrimage, right? Or like praying the rosary. Um, and then, the church helps you with the things. And there are uh, some conditions that you have to fulfill. So the first one is to do the indulged work. So the work that the thing that you do. So like the rosary, then you had to pray for the Pope. You had to receive communion, go to confession, and be detached from any kind of attachment to venial sin.
right, and just for you to know, every prayer that you do, every offering that you do, every sacrifice that you offer, has a partial indulgence. And the
Oh, okay.
right, and the everything, right? Even calling us today has a partial indulgence if you do it for God. However, plenary indulgence are regulated by the church. The church has to tell us which those are, and there's actually a
Okay.
book with all the plenary indulgences. And also,
Oh, wow.
those requirements that Father Richard said, they are in the Miles Christi prayer book, that red one that I think you might
Yeah.
have. You look in the back, and you have the conditions for a plenary indulgence. So,
Okay.
just a reference for you and for anyone else who's listening,
Yeah.
you go to the book and check those out, and that will help you a lot.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, I hope, there's much more to speak about this, but thank you for calling us today. I hope that was helpful to you, and it's great to see you and great to talk to you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
God bless you, Coley. Have a good day.